All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this month's KeyShot webinar. I'm Josh Mings, Director of Marketing at Luxion. Today we have a special presentation from ANDesign Lab out of Costa Mesa, California. Vic Pramano is with us, and he's going to go through the process they use for creating visuals using KeyShot. And I won't give too much away, Vic. Go ahead and tell us more about ANDesign and what you guys do.
Cool. Sorry, give me a second here. Can you turn off the volume?
Okay. All right. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today in this special webinar. My name is Vic Pramano, and I'm currently one of the industrial designer at ANDesign. Today I'll be doing a demonstration on how to create a simple yet effective renderings in KeyShot that could be used for engineering and manufacturing purposes and potentially some marketing imageries as well. So before I begin our KeyShot demonstration, I want to take the next 2 minutes to share with you guys a little bit about our company. ANDesign is a product design consultancy firm located in Orange County, California. So our company has only been around for 7 years now, but in that time frame we have been aggressively transforming our design approach into a more all-around type of design practice. So our company's approach to design thinking does not really involve just a linear process in which an idea is developed and a product is created. Our comprehensive design process involves designing the entire ecosystem of the product. So from design to manufacturing and packaging, we do shipping logistics, project management, user experience, retail and advertising, and occasionally we also do website integration. Lately we've been doing a lot of crowdfunding campaign for our clients as well. Now what this means for us is that KeyShot is becoming an essential tool in helping us deliver all the services that we offer to our clients. Actually, in today's KeyShot demonstration, I will be rendering a Kickstarter product called Hit Bottle. Hit Bottle is an all-purpose vacuum-sealed protein shaker with double wall insulation to keep your drinks cold or hot on the go. Their campaign is currently still active. As you can see here, they still have 25 days to go, and they have already exceeded their funding goals by about 60,000 there. So if you'd like to know more about the product, you can check it out here, or you can simply just type Hit Bottle on Google. So let's go ahead and open up our 3D model in SolidWorks. So last night I had a meeting with the client. So he requested a rendering of the bottle with several different color materials, textures, and yeah, this is the right model. Yeah, he also wanted to see what the bottle looks like with the laser engraved logo on the main body. So since this body part is going to be stainless steel, let's see, I don't think I'm going to add appearance on it. It's pretty important to add color appearances on the body parts, as this will make your rendering experience a lot easier when you're applying materials in KeyShot. To add color appearances in SolidWorks, you can simply just right-click on the body part that you would like to be a different material, and then click on Appearances, and then you can change the color. You can click OK, but since I've already applied those colors, I'm not going to do that anymore. As you can see here on the DBoss logo area, I I added a different color on the laser engrave logo because sometimes under certain circumstances or situations in KeyShot, your debossed surface doesn't quite show up very clearly when you have two of the same materials next to each other. Now we'll explain more about that when we get into KeyShot. By the way, there's an easier way to apply colors on this deboss surface. You can simply just click on the features and click on edit appearance right here. And you can change the color. So instead of selecting the surfaces one by one, we can do that. So I've already set up this 3D model ahead of time. We can go ahead and save this 3D file now. Let's see. Before you import the models into KeyShot, you want to make sure that you optimize the tessellation for maximum image quality output. Yeah, you can access that settings here through options and then document properties and then image quality. So as you can see here, if I reduce the tessellation all the way down, your smooth surface or smooth lines become sort of like a polygon shape, very jagged edges. I'm actually going to show you what happens if I do that. So you see this cylindrical shape basically becomes sort of like crushed, like there's an edge right there, and you can see it very clearly on this part or this lines right here. It becomes sort of like a polygon shape. So let's go back to that tessellation. For rendering purposes, you probably want to sort of set this up in a higher value. But remember, if you increase the resolution settings, your file size will increase dramatically, and the 3D model will respond a lot slower. So this is one of those things that you want to consider. Is it necessary to pump it up all the way to its maximum value, or can you just get away with the normal settings? Normal setting probably would lie around this area. But for today's webinar, I think I'm going to keep it at a modest setting for the sake of not crashing my computer in the middle of the demonstration. I think that value should be good. Okay, as you can see there, it's updated again. All right, now we can save the file.
Hey Vic.
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump in here and mention something real quick. Users of KeyShot 5 Pro have the benefit of using the NURBS option. So in their case, you don't really have to consider what that value is set to. You can keep that at a low value, so it's fast and speedy to transfer over. And then once you're inside of KeyShot, you can click that NURBS button on the ribbon to switch it to the NURBS mode for the perfectly smooth surfaces.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
But like you mentioned, for the HD users, this is a very important thing to consider.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thanks for jumping in on that. So yeah, let's go ahead and save this. Okay. All right. And I want to mention about the KeyShot plugins here. See, I like to use the KeyShot plugin for SolidWorks. It's basically just another way to import your 3D model straight from your CAD modeling software. The plugins are available to download for free at KeyShot's website. If you go under KeyShot and then under Resources tab and then Plugins, they will provide you with the a KeyShot plugins that complements your 3D software. Now in SolidWorks, how you add that plugins is through clicking Tools and click on Add-ins. And you scroll down, you will see this KeyShot 5 add-ons. So when you just downloaded the file and installed it, this will be unchecked. So you want to make sure that these the add-ins is checked on SolidWorks. Okay. So now let's go ahead and click Render to import the model into KeyShot. Oops, it opened up on my other side of the window. Okay, let's I think I'm going to close this down just to make sure that everything runs smoothly. Now the first thing that you want to do is probably just start throwing in materials. Now I know, since I already talked to the clients, that he wanted to have this area to be stainless steel. So I'm going to apply metal. If you go under stainless steel, and I asked him whether if he wanted a heavy brush or more like a light brush, and he did say light brush, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And for the top lid area, this part is gonna be polypropylene plastic, which is BPA free. I'm just gonna throw in some sort of a plastic material. There are so many options out here, but basically I already have a library of materials that I always go to, because I know for sure that this type of materials is used quite often, and I can always rely on them. So I recommend you to do that, especially if you're working on a client that you keep coming back to. Sometimes they always want to use the same material over and over again, so it's always good to have that in your library. For the top plastic area, this part is going to be black gloss plastic. I'm going to leave the laser engraved logo as that for now. I'm going to show you a little bit later. Now let's apply some HDRI environments. Actually, before I do that, so I'm going to minimize this. For me, sometimes it's kind of hard to imagine what kind of highlights that's supposed to go on a stainless steel. So the best way to do this is to find a reference image online. So you can always go to Google and type in a similar product or a similar shape of product that uses the same type of material. In this case, it will be easy for me because I'm designing a water bottle which is stainless steel, and a lot of these bottles are actually stainless steel material. So I already saved this image in my folder, so I'm just going to open that. All right. So what I want to do is I want to try to replicate this this highlights, this sort of like environment. I don't think this is a rendering. This is more like a photograph, but that's okay, because your HDRI environment is probably going to end up not looking exactly 100% the same. especially with the stainless steel, you can sort of get away with a random type of panel lights. So I'm going to start off with the 3 panels straight 2K, just because I see over here that the image has 3 panels. That just screams to me to use this HDRI. Now, I want to set this to orthographic view, just for better viewing angle. And you probably want to set this into performance mode, just to have the KeyShot moving smoother. Let's see. Now, you want to rotate this environment until you sort of get that similar settings of the 3 pillars. Now, what you can do is you can edit the HDRI. Now, I think for the sake of time, I'm gonna upload the HDRI that I already created. I'm just gonna go through. Oops, you can't do it that way. Sorry. I'm just gonna go through each pin lights that I added. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna set the background into white color so you can see a little bit better. Now, if you look at this image, they're sort of using a warm tone color lighting. So we want to replicate that, the warm tone. Best way to do it for me is to click on Colorize right here on the HDRI editor. And what's good about KeyShot is that they have an eyedropper tool that you can just select and just pretty much steal that color from the image. And now you can use that color and it will become a warm tone light. Now, I don't think I'm going to mess around too much with the with this settings. I think I did reduce the contrast a little bit. Yeah. Okay, now let's turn off all the pin lights that I added. I'm just going to go through each one individually. Now, this is the basic HDRI that you get from KeyShot, which is really nice already, but sometimes you want to customize it a little bit. And I'm going to show this. Oops. I think I did something different. Oh, right here. I'm sorry. I forgot to rotate it to 90 degrees. Okay. That's better. Alright, the first thing that I want to do is basically remove that dark panels in the middle. As you can see here in this image, the pillar is not as big as what the KeyShot HDRI provided. So I'm going to cover that up with several different pin lights. Now, to do this, you can easily just click Set Highlights, and you can move things around in real time, and you can see that the pin lights are moving where my mouse is. Okay. So the next thing that I want to do, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention about the settings on the bottom. Now, I'm not too familiar. Rex, if you want to jump in on the blend mode and describe this a little bit more. I find this blend mode is pretty similar to kind of like the transparency in Photoshop. Obviously, the options are not that much. It has blend, alpha, and screen. I try to use the alpha because what it does is pretty much it puts the Pinlight on the very top of the what do you call it? I guess the panels. If you set it up as screen, you get this really fine white highlights because you have the dark panels behind it. So what I did is I just set it up as alpha, so it covers the whole thing entirely. And I want to try to replicate that middle dark highlight in the middle. So I added that and I reduced the brightness from the standard settings from 1 to something a little bit darker. Okay, so I just kept on adding pin lights and basically try to replicate this as much as possible. Added the mid-tone highlights right here, which is like a darker gray there. Then you would have a brighter highlights over here. And then on the left side, you get a little bit of another dark panels there. Okay, so the shape, as you can see, the shape is a little bit different. Mine sort of just tapers down, where this one has a little bit of curve, which is okay. You can probably find a better image that looks similar to this 3D model and try to replicate that instead. But I think for this purpose, this is pretty good for me. On the top right here, I added gloss material, but I don't quite see the highlight that's supposed to go there. So the good thing about Pinlight is that you can set it up anywhere on the screen, and you can pretty much focus on one area. Let's see. I think I moved something. Whoops. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do that. And then over here, the dark polypropylene plastic looks kind of doesn't have enough highlight or contrast to it. So I just went ahead and add a little bit of highlights there to make things stand out a little bit more. Okay, so I want to go back to the deboss logo area. If you apply the same material to this laser engraved logo, and you have your camera view in orthographic, it's really hard to see that the changes on the depth of the surfaces. So the reason why I added different colors there is because I want to basically make this hit bottle logo a little bit darker than the material of the actual bottle here. So you can copy material and just paste the material over here, but make sure you unlink them because you don't want both of them to change color. If you double click on that area and go on texture, change the color, then you'll have basically a darker tone of the same material. And this is probably the easiest way to portray that laser engraved logo. Okay. I think for the texture here, I don't really see the brush texture. I think it's because I haven't changed the projection on this yet. Okay. Yeah. Let's double click on this bottle material and change that from box map to, since this is a cylindrical shape, probably gonna go with that. That looks pretty good to me. You can play around with the scale if you want a bigger texture, but I think I don't really quite see the difference there, so I'm gonna just go back and keep it at 0.2, and I'm gonna do that here as well. Okay. All right. Now you can compare the two images here between what we have and the image that I took online. I'm trying to replicate basically this rendering setup. So I want to have the ground reflection on the bottom area similar to this image. I found another an easy way to do that. Basically, if you go under environment, camera, and you change this into perspective, and then you can increase the focal length all the way up to 200. Now you get the same pretty much view as orthographic, but with a little bit of twist of perspective there. Now to add a ground reflection on the bottom, you can simply just click on Edit, add Geometry, and add a ground plane. If you go under Scene, it will create a new part there. What I like to do is to use a pane gloss, a white pane gloss, and make sure you want to let's see here. Okay, don't forget to turn off the performance mode to check if your reflection is good or not. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Okay, I think this one is pretty set to render. I'm gonna go ahead and set this up. Alright, so I want to do a little bit of post-production in Photoshop. So I want to set this rendering in transparency, in alpha transparency, and only a certain format allows you to do that. You can choose either PNG or TIFF file, right here that allows you to do that. So when you click here, basically it removes all the white background, and you'll get pretty much transparency there. We're just gonna set this up to the maximum quality there. Resolution. You can check if you don't know what the render quality is supposed to be. You can go to this settings right here. You can check what kind of ray bounces you need, what sort of value you need. If you take this all the way down to 0, you pretty much get a dark shade, right? If you increase this to 1, you sort of get a reflection, but a highlight, but you don't really get the reflection on the bottom. So you want to increase these until you get the amount of quality that you're looking for, or until the image doesn't really change anymore when you bring the value up. So it looks like a value between 4 or 3 is pretty good. So you want to set that value to 4 for the ray bounces. And the same way works for shadow quality, but since we don't really have any shadows right here, I'm just going to set it to 1. And let's see, anti-aliasing is basically a method for smoothing out any jagged edges that are created by pixels. I think for this specific material, I'm going to increase this up to a value of maybe 5 or 6. For samples, I believe I can set this to a value of 10 or actually 32. I'm going to play it safe here and increase it a little bit higher. And this rendering should go really quick. One more thing that I want to mention is that when you do post-production editing in Photoshop, it's always good to have a clown pass and a render layers. How you set up render layers is quite simple. You can click on the part on your scene right here, and then click Add New Render Layer. I'm going to name this Ground Reflection, and then the bottle will be Head Bottle. Now what that render layer does is basically it separates the two parts in a separate rendering, and I can show you that really quick after I click on this render. Yeah, let's save it. So the key to creating stunning visuals is to have great 3D models to begin with. You need to spend time refining the 3D model before doing any KeyShot renderings. Great 3D model doesn't mean that you need to create a robotic arms with 1,000,000 parts in it. What you need is just a model with each individual part named and organized properly in assembly. Again, add color appearances in your 3D model to separate the materials in KeyShot. You might want to pay attention to even like the smallest fillet, chamfer, draft angles, because these kind of details could enhance your visual renderings and make the images stand out. Alright, let's click OK on this. This kind of rendering is done. That looks pretty good to me. I mean, I could do better. I could spend more time refining the rendering setup, but I think for this purpose, this is pretty good. Let's move this file. Actually, I'm not sure why there are two. They are quite similar, but anyways, I think I'm going to take this one. I think this is the newer one. By the way, it's always good to name your part. I forgot to do that. You can change the name over here under render settings. So I'm just going to take that renderings and put it into, where is it? KeyShot files, put renderings right here. So I'm going to place it right here, my folder. I think I'm going to close this. And okay, I'll just minimize that for now. Now let's open Photoshop. Now you want to create a new template based on what your render settings was on the print size right here. So it looks like it's 6.4 by 4.13. So I'm going to copy exactly that and set it into 300 resolution. Now as you can see here, this is what the render layer does. It separates the ground reflection that I had with the actual object. So I'm going to bring this over here. You can select all by pressing Control A on your keyboard, copy, and then you can bring it over here by pressing Control Shift and V to paste. Let's do that over here as well. So Control A, Control C, and then right here Control Shift and V. Alright. Looks like it creates that really fine lines there, but it's not a big deal because the background that I'm trying to use is white, so I can just use the eraser tool and erase that line. Okay. Now this is what the clown pass does. If you're not happy with the again, Control C and Control Shift V, if you're not happy with how the highlights of your rendering, you can always edit them in Photoshop, right? So this clown pass is gonna make your job a lot easier because you can select using the magic one. Since this is a flat color, it will select that entire area of your bottle. You can do that here as well. Let's use the quick selection tool. Okay. Now what I normally like to do is use the dodge tool to burn the darker area, make it a little bit more darker, or you can use the dodge tool and make the light area a little bit more lighter. I think I have to change this to highlight. Right? So really I could spend hours editing this in Photoshop, but the basic fundamentals are pretty much the same. You just have to tweak around pretty much the render settings, the quality, play around with different materials, you know, to achieve the best results. I sort of did the final renderings already. It seems like we're running out of time now. So I'm going to just show you guys what I did previously. So this rendering, I'm going to have to show this to our client. This is the type of color combinations that he requested. But obviously right here on the green material, I could have done better. I can use the clown pass again, make the highlights a little bit darker or lighter, and basically, you know, make them stand out a little bit more.
Cool. Thanks, Vic. Thanks for sharing your process there. We did have a few questions that came up. One is asking about the advantage of using the ground plane versus the ground shadows and ground reflections feature. So I think one of those benefits you showed as the ability to use render layers and assign that ground plane to a render layer. Do you want to speak on that a little bit? How come you prefer the ground plane?
For sure. Basically, when you add a ground plane, you can apply any different materials to it, right? For example, if you're looking for sort of like a matte finish ground plane, I'm going to try to apply that material maybe actually over here. As you can see there, you'll never get, oops, sorry. Let's do that again. You'll never get that sort of reflection if you just use the ground reflections here under environment. So this ground plane really allows you to play around with your ground reflections a little bit more. It gives you a little bit more options there. That's what I like about it, and you know, it could definitely make your rendering stand out a little bit more, really depending on what kind of scene you're looking for.
Okay, cool. There was another question in that image you just showed of the 3 bottles. Did you actually render those as 3 bottles sitting next to each other in KeyShot, or were those rendered individually then composited in Photoshop?
They are actually rendered individually and composited in Photoshop. I don't really like to put more than one renderings in one scene. It's because I can actually show you really quick why I don't like to do that. If you duplicate this, you just move the bottle to the side right here. You look at the left. The perspective of this bottle changes a little bit. I know it's kind of hard to see because of this orthographic view, but if you change the perspective a little bit, you know, you get basically a different perspective. You can see the side of this overmold gloss plastic a little bit more than this one, which is pretty straight on. So it all really depends on what kind of rendering setup you're looking for. I told you guys earlier I was trying to imitate, oops, sorry, not that one. Trying to imitate this this picture, this image right here, and this is probably the easiest way for me to do it too, and the quickest time for me to do it, so I can show the clients in a short, pretty short time frame, you know.
Cool.
Let's see. There you go.
And then also, especially when using that metal material, such as the center bottle, you don't get those reflections on the left and right side, which can be distracting sometimes.
Exactly.
And then also, if you're using render layers, For example, it looks like you have the same material on that lid on the camo bottle and the stainless steel bottle. So if you wanted to be efficient about it, really you don't have to render that lid again. You can just render, you can hide those other parts and then just render that centerpiece.
I agree. That's right.
Cool. All right, well, let's see. Oh, Tim is, he mentioned that he sees the strange shadows as seen on the green bottle. I did notice that as well, too, at the top, and that's definitely a tessellation quality issue. So as Vic showed in SolidWorks, he increased that image quality slider. As you do increase that more, then those shadow artifacts will become less. But like I mentioned, if you are using KeyShot 5 Pro and have the NURBS feature available to you, you can click that NURBS button and it'll perfectly smooth out that round to eliminate any of those shadow artifacts that you would see. Also, you can try increasing your shadow quality in your render settings, and usually that helps clear that up as well. All right, well, that was great. Vic, thank you for sharing the process of how ANDesign uses KeyShot in their design workflow to present images to clients. And it was great to have you here. We'll have a recording of this webinar available at keyshot.com from our learning page, as well as youtube.com/keyshot3d. So keep an eye out for that video. Should be posted in the next couple of days. Josh, do you have anything else to add?
Nope, that's it. Thanks everyone for joining us.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
Vic.
you guys for having me.
Sure. All right. Take care. Bye.
All right. See you.